like a invisible fleet. Let me put it to you this way. Let me just get right up to the area. It's like an invisible fleet. The business people, the monetary gains. You know, the people making policy. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I, worthless slave of God, Austin Anthony Antonius, by my chrismated name, offer this in the hope of the Coptic and the original truth of Christian observance in the monastic tradition as we understand from the great Anthony of the Desert of Egypt, recognized as the first monastic. Alright, so basically, I don't know, I'm trying to be cute and I'm trying to be concerned, but I'm going to leave it off me. I don't really want to be seen today with this issue. Just kind of putting the camera down. Really fast, the invisible fleet of cooperative effort in conglomeration corporate affairs regarding the international auspice of conduct and concern. It came to me to say so many things, and it really comes down to me being against so many people like the Windsor family who refused to yield their auspice of authority and position, and they reached out to the Islamic people in some kind of a move to have a collaborative effort for the petroleum issues, you know, just like the Navy used to be in the 1700s. The trade routes used to be fought over. Then America, you know, popped up, and then we became a dissolved corporation in the Federal Reserve in the 20s from the international powers. And then we decided to allow the potential to consider destroying the indigenous of the Northern American continent, for example, etc. And we had to recognize the potential to adhere to Islamic Muslim not only subversion but actual dominance now in the United States and United Nations auspice and everybody else. So what it amounts to is I read a couple stories. I've been sitting on quietly listening to myself, not try to talk about it because I got other personal issues I've been dealing with as much as possible, distract myself from supposedly the world of events and outside of my personal scope. So basically, yeah, they killed 7 families in Egypt again, the Islamic people. They claim to be ISIS or not. And what they did is they shot a father in the head in front of his family and then destroyed a woman, the daughter. They cut her about 50 times. And that brought me into having the potential, the balls to talk about issues in some places with some members out here in the community that were able to communicate to me about these issues. You know, how I've been, you know, in the past I've seen in 2014 area with direct communication of Muslims in congregation and individual from Islamabad and elsewhere, Baghdad, elsewhere, where they were actually eating the children. And, you know, they had slashes on their arms. You know, I want to put my phone down for a second. I can do it. There it is. And they had slices on their arms. See the lines on the blinds? Well, they were like this. literally in slices on children, like 8-year-old children, 7-year-old children, who were being eaten alive by Muslims in Syria, Egypt, wherever it was. And these fucking people on a message thread, private messaging me in Facebook, which is why I have the case that I believe Facebook is aiding international crime and creating half the havoc for these assholes who are running the shows in policy, like a Merkel or an Erdogan or even the British government right now. You got to take them seriously that they're evil. There's something wrong. They're considering America too. I mean, it's all been a recent move to be openly, overtly showing pedophilia, Islamic sentiment, and the overreach in the public sector to demand everybody adhere to these people or else. Now, I guess what I'm trying to say is I've recognized some aspects that basically, if you don't follow the new rule, I mean, you got Ellen DeGeneres French kissing women on TV, and that's acceptable. But they want to call out the heterosexual Christian, Caucasian. Everybody's being pigeonholed now. And I hate to tell you, but you black people in America, around the world, are the most used population ever in the history of recorded man. You're the most cranially thick, dumb, ignorant people to fucking adhere to, being manipulated so well by so many powers, and you're still slaves to 27 million of you in Saudi Arabia, and those people they refuse to accept you as human beings, whether you're a Muslim or not, being a black person, being black. And there you go with the Louis Farrakhan and all these assholes trying to come up with some of this chump change as fast as possible for everybody. Allah Akbar my ass, Louis Farrakhan in the fucking America. There was a news thing. His congregation greeted him with the Allah Akbar all of a sudden. I'm begging you, just let me get it done and I'll say it fast and I'm getting it over with. This is just end of the fucking story. Look, here's the story. Muslims have been killing people en masse more than any other created effort in the history of mankind since their inception in 622 AD. What they're doing today is they're fucking subversively going for business and propriety as long as our leadership buys their shit and pays their jizya, which is dimitude, which is service with control of Islamic domination over all. And then it's basically they allow us to live around them as underlings and subordinates and never going to be considered humanity as long as we deny their inherent effort or their absolute position of moral standard, which is immoral and uncouth to the point where it's barbaric hell. And I know you have a lot of them, everybody wants to convert. Why not have sex with the kids in a Muslim sense of the world? Why not just be peaceful and smoke out of a hookah and everybody just puts their ass in the air when the Imam tells them the flag goes up and they get called to do so? Why not everybody stop, drop, and roll? Well, because it's a falsehood. And the other thing is civilization was already tried that way in the past ages. And what we found out was that stuff is demise. It's death. It's death dealing. The sacrifice for sultans and caliphate is, it's not just soullessness. It's the idea of eating your young, selling your own. It's servitude to the point of dominated by, it's like cannibals ruling the tribe. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are trying to convert to that by, they want to taste their own flesh. I understand sin. Believe me, I'm a man. I'm not perfect. I've been through the world. I've done a lot of shit to myself. I've done it to the world in general. Incarnality, corporal issues, carnal sin,
You know, I know we are what we are, but you got to come to a point where you stop calling eating shit, you know, your main course, and you got to start thinking, is there a potential, you know, even with your good strong testosterone as a heterosexual male and looking for, you know, more meat to eat and everything, all the jokes I make in China about myself and the positions. But all of it amounts to is there's still a standard. And if you're going to start using children to relax at home with, and you don't want to walk around and be upset and Ashallah and all the, Ashallah, I'm going to talk to you about, have you heard a word about Islam yet? And then we got to talk about in a gown. But the guy in the background's got a big fucking knife. He's ready to fucking whack you like this. If you fucked up in their little world of construct. It's not something to be considered, but yet you goddamn people are importing them, and you're bringing them in with their money and their little fucking Audis and their fucking families and their multi-wives and their children's brides and all this shit in Germany. Everywhere you go now, Canada, you know what, America, all you people are fucking nuts. And the bottom line is I'm going to get off the phone now, talking to myself. I look like a fool to myself talking to you. But my God, 7 more families in Egypt alone that I know of. And then I walk around and I see these fucking people walking around using, and it's the British, it's the French, it's the German, it's the Swedish, it's the fucking people walking around with this movement that the money's coming from Arabia, so therefore dance with the devil. And I'm telling you right now, if it's going to be anything but else for the rest of my fucking life, I'm 47. It's 2017. The document is logged. What I'm making a statement is, for chronological observation, is if you fucking people think that Hillary Clinton and her movement and all these goddamn people who want the money to preserve the Presbyterians, all these deviations of the possibility of being proper, remember this about one thing about what I know about this country, what I believe I know about this country. It's kind of like an inherited memory than it is in actuality, because it's all social studies, sociological observation. It's perception, basically, over years that they don't teach anymore. They don't want us to have that perception. They want to alter perception. So you eat the fetal cells for flavor enhancement and the GMOs and think that Monsanto is your savior, because they got to add chemicals to the corn seeds for them to blossom and all these things. The cancer is supposed to be a good thing from God, according to this new government we have and all this bullshit that they're offering us now with the radiation and the chemicals and the fucking the vaccines, everything. It's real. All this shit's been real. See, I got a booster shot when I was a kid. I don't know if it's in this arm. No, is it in this arm? I haven't looked in years, but they gave us boosters in the 60s and the 70s that we used to take chances, and maybe we wouldn't even walk from that day, but we were too stupid and young to know, and our parents would give us all the fucking mercury and the fillings in our mouth and everything that we can handle by the age of 12. Eat all the sugar, get your teeth pulled, get your teeth filled, you're on welfare, you don't belong here anyways, you're a bastard. You're an unwanted pregnancy, Generation X, and past it. So why don't we just fucking start aborting them overly now, which is what's happened to the women's movement since then. That the women didn't give a fuck. They'd slap us, throw us around with used clothes, all this shit. And all of a sudden we're turning into, it's a death camp. So now you got this Muslim contingent, and the basic story, I'm going to end it, is no. And all these people would let it be, there'll be an answer, let it be. And they're fucking covert running the shows in the BP oil, all, you know, British Petroleum, all the fucking trade routes. Everybody's walking around. Nobody, I mean, it's not like I didn't know. I just didn't know how to say it all these years looking at you, that you got to be the boss. Who's the boss of the music industry? Well, I want to be a drummer, so I didn't want to fucking fuck my life up with the boss. Well, now we got an idea that the bosses are changing in age and changing the guard, and you have to ask yourself as grown people, which is what I'm doing in this video, is was it actually worth it? No, it's not. And then who gets to drive the car when they won't even service the vehicle under warranty issues? Those mentalities come out in concepts and notions as you mature. I'm not here to showboat. I'm sorry I showed up again, matter of fact, but yeah, 7 families this last recently in February were shot and killed and destroyed and maimed and raped and burnt and everything. Again, by Muslims, and that's just from Egypt alone. The Coptic people who do nothing but try to fucking, like I'm doing, make sense of an insanity around them and the violence and the disparity of values against the bigotry and the hate to the point of violent, just to intimidate us. I'm never gonna fucking know anything else anymore. Because once you see kids being chewed up, and they were laughing about it when they were telling me about it, these cocksucking Muslim people on the fucking Facebook, and then I got on the phone in Islamabad number, and the guy told me he didn't have his son, and I said, neither do I, but that doesn't mean you get to piss in my coffee this morning with what you're sending me on pictures and everything. Trust me, if I could take this fucking pen, I will fucking kill the first fucking guy, woman or child, that ever fucking pulls that shit out here in front of me, this fucking Muslim shit, to the point that I see it going on around the world every fucking day. I'm not a lunatic yet. You see that? 12 monkeys. But it's fucking over. There's no way to come back from knowing what you people are up to and how it feels to know that I'm living, really, I feel, I want to say everything's fine, but it isn't. It's never going to be fine again. I can't see how it's going to be fine. I'm on my own. Nobody's watching my back. Nobody's protecting my medical services. Nobody's protecting me for anything. Ultimately, I live in a very loose auspice of social control on a very meager income that could be taken away from me at any time, let alone arrested and committed and all these other things they tried to do to me since I've been contacted by these fucking Muslim people in 2014 on, that I've been overtly known to have objection to the policy and form of a direction and movement that seems to be international, let alone parochial or domestic for the northern continental United States since Obama 2012 re-election personally. But prior to that, I was kind of quiet, and I got more distorted with pornography and being isolated and trying to figure out how to cope with my young son, who was being stripped. He was being used against me to control issues from the time he was born for family court that never should have been in a courtroom ever, for a dark version of who runs the show, which was definitely not necessarily considered to be due legal process. And it was excessive, and it always ends up that I am alone, and I have to figure out my next step, trying to be a human being, quiet, and it ain't gonna work because I'm a drummer and I'm a guitar player and I need to have a life, and I have no companionship, and I'm gonna have to find somebody to get along with, and I'm gonna have to start interacting and social networking off the phone, and ultimately I don't want to do it. And I can't stay alone as much as I am in this country, in this point in the world that I'm in at this present time, knowing the fishbowl's got a lot of fucking pH imbalance and acidic qualities and all these things that are wrong. They're deathly wrong to me. I'm sorry if I bothered anybody. I'm bothered myself. I'm gonna hang up. Please. These fucking Muslim people, they don't deserve the breath